Capricorn. She didn't say it when she was alive. Not because she didn't love you, but because the words were too heavy to carry, even for her. There are whispers that travel through time. They don't come through phones or letters. They come through dreams. Through the ache in your chest that you can't explain. Through the silence you feel when no one else is around. And tonight, that silence is her voice, finally ready to speak. You've always been the strong one, haven't you? The one who holds it all together. The one who plans ahead, pays the bills, carries the weight no one else wants. And still, you wonder why it never feels enough. Why your joy slips through your fingers like water. Why love feels more like duty than surrender. But what if I told you it wasn't yours to carry in the first place? Capricorn, this is no ordinary message. This is not just a video. This is a sacred crossing between two realms. Because the woman who brought you into this world has one final thing to give you before she can fully rest. And it's not an apology. It's not guilt. It's not even closure. It's the truth. A truth she couldn't say when she was here. A truth that lived in the way she raised you. In the expectations she never spoke. In the fear she passed to you when she hugged you too tight. Or when she told you to be strong when all you needed was to cry. She didn't speak it then. But she's speaking it now. And she chose this moment, this exact moment. Because your soul is finally ready to receive it. So stay. Don't click away. Not yet. Because before this video ends, you will understand why you've always felt alone even in a full room. Why success never feels safe. Why your heart guards itself so fiercely, even from love. And why none of it was ever your fault. This message may shake you. It may bring tears to the surface that have waited decades to fall. But it will also set you free. She is not gone. She is not lost. She is here. And she's been waiting for this exact moment to tell you what she never could before. Part 1. The invisible weight you thought was just responsibility. You were never lazy. You were never weak. But somewhere along the line, someone made you believe that being exhausted all the time was normal. That being the one who fixes everything silently was your job. That your worth was measured by how much you could endure without asking for help. Capricorn, let's begin with a truth that may sound unfamiliar to your ears, but deeply familiar to your soul. You have been carrying a weight that doesn't belong to you. Not all of it, anyway. Yes, some of it is yours, the ambition, the commitment, the structure. But not the shame. Not the silent burden to be the unbreakable one. Not the invisible pressure to always be the provider, the protector, the planner, even when your heart is on the verge of collapse. This pressure didn't start with you. It's not something you woke up one day and decided to carry. It was handed to you, slowly, subtly, over years. Through silent dinners. Through emotional absence. Through the cold glances when you expressed your needs. And often, through the deep, loving, but wounded silence of your own mother. The legacy of the strong mother. Perhaps your mother didn't cry in front of you. Perhaps she never told you when she was hurting. Perhaps she worked 3 jobs and never once complained. And so you learned. Love means survival. Strength means silence. Asking means shame. This legacy was not spoken aloud, but it was taught. And being the good, loyal, devoted soul you are, you picked up the baton and said, I'll carry it. You didn't question whether it was too heavy. You didn't wonder if it was fair. You just carried it because you loved her. Because you admired her. Because it felt like the right thing to do. But Capricorn, your mother didn't want you to repeat her life. She didn't suffer in silence so that you would too. She didn't work herself into the grave so that you would follow. She didn't hold in her tears because she believed in strength. She did it because no one ever gave her permission to fall apart. And now she's giving you that permission. A story from the mountains. Let me tell you about Elena, a Capricorn woman from North Carolina. Raised by a mother who survived poverty, Elena was taught to never be a burden. By 14, she was balancing school and caring for 2 younger siblings. By 25, she was the only income for her aging parents. By 38, she had 3 degrees, a business, And a breakdown no one saw coming. She didn't know how to stop, didn't know how to rest, didn't know how to say, "I can't carry this anymore." When Elena came to understand the inherited weight, the ancestral pattern of women who gave everything and received nothing, she broke down in a way she never had. And then, she rebuilt. She began saying no without guilt. She began asking for help. She began sleeping, not collapsing. And in her dreams, she began hearing her mother's voice. Not saying be strong, but saying, be free. Capricorn lesson number 1, your duty is not to repeat the pain. Capricorn, you are not meant to inherit burdens. You are meant to transform them. There is a difference between being strong and being buried by strength. This first truth is your key to freedom. Not every responsibility handed to you is yours to keep. Some are meant to be honored and then released. This is what your mother, now free from the weight of her earthly silence, wants you to understand. Not all sacrifice is holy, and some legacies must be broken so healing can begin. Part 2. The maternal contract you never knew you signed. You never sat at a table and signed your name. No paper, no ceremony, no witness, but you still signed something. Something ancient, something invisible, something that came not from law, but from lineage. This is what we call the maternal contract. A sacred, unconscious vow passed from mother to child, often wrapped in love, often rooted in pain. Capricorn, you didn't ask for it, but you accepted it. And it has shaped you more than you realize. This contract sounds like, I'll be the strong one, so you don't have to be. I'll succeed, because you couldn't. I'll protect you, even after you're gone. I'll carry your unspoken grief, quietly, for the rest of my life. It sounds noble. It sounds loyal. It sounds like love. But Capricorn, it's also a trap. Because buried inside that loyalty is the belief that your happiness must be earned through self-sacrifice. That your worth is tied to what you produce, fix, or hold together. That your success must redeem your family's suffering. And that is not a contract. That is a cage. Let's be clear. Your mother did not curse you. She did not plan to bind you. She passed on what she was taught. That love is duty. That rest is weakness. That silence is strength. And because you loved her, you absorbed it. But what was survival for her has become suffering for you. You see, emotional contracts don't need words. They live in energy, in silence, in expectations never spoken but always felt. Think back. The first time you felt you had to be the responsible one. The first time you swallowed your tears to be the mature one. The first time you helped everyone else, then cried alone in secret. That was the contract. Breaking the unseen vow. To break a contract, you don't need revenge. You need awareness. You need to look it in the eye and say, I see you. I honor the love behind you. But I no longer live by you. Capricorn, this is not rebellion. This is reverence. You are not dishonoring your mother by breaking this vow. You are fulfilling her deeper wish, the one she couldn't voice. She wanted more for you. She just didn't know how to give it. Because no one gave it to her. And now, it is your sacred opportunity, not obligation. To end what began long before you. To write a new contract. One that says, I choose to live. I choose peace over performance. I choose connection over control. I choose freedom, even if they never did. Capricorn lesson number 2. Love is not measured by how much you endure. This is the hardest lesson for a Capricorn to learn. Because for so long, endurance has been your badge of honor. But it has also been your chain. Endurance without joy is not strength. It's survival. And you, dear Capricorn, were not born to just survive. Your mother in heaven, now finally free from her own pain, wants you to know this. You are allowed to rewrite the rules. You are allowed to thrive without guilt. You are allowed to rest without apology. You don't have to earn love through suffering. You already are love. That is the message she couldn't say in life. But now, she's whispering it to your soul. Part 3. Why control and perfection were never truly yours. Capricorn, let's pause for a moment and ask the question no one ever dared ask you. When did you first believe that being in control meant being safe? When did perfection become the only acceptable outcome? And more importantly, who told you that love must be earned through achievement? You see, what many people misunderstand about Capricorn is that your desire for control is not about power, it's about protection. It is not vanity. It is survival. You don't strive for perfection because you think you're better than others. You strive because somewhere, long ago, you learned that anything less meant danger, disappointment, or rejection. The hidden root of control. Control is a mask. A mask worn by those who have experienced unpredictable love, inconsistent care, or unstable emotional environments. And for you, Capricorn, this may have started in a home where emotions weren't safe to express. In a childhood where chaos was met with keep it together. In a dynamic where success was rewarded, but feelings were ignored. So what did you do? You adapted. You built systems. You planned ahead. You stayed quiet. You excelled. You became the adult before you ever had a chance to be a child. Because perfection gave you what love didn't. Security. But what no one tells you is this. Perfection is a moving target. Control is an illusion. And safety doesn't live in what you manage, it lives in what you allow yourself to feel. The story of Michael, the man who couldn't rest. Let me tell you about Michael, a Capricorn man raised in a strict household where failure was unacceptable. He became a lawyer by 25, a partner by 33, a millionaire by 40, and by 41, divorced, emotionally numb, and afraid to sit in silence. He told his therapist, "I don't know how to be happy. I only know how to be productive." That statement broke something open. Through his healing, he traced his perfectionism back to one moment. At age 7, his mother, freshly fired, heartbroken, and exhausted, said to him, "You need to be the man of the house now." He was 7. That one sentence became his lifelong identity. But it wasn't until he forgave his mother and let go of that invisible vow that he finally exhaled for the first time in decades. Capricorn lesson number 3, perfection is not a path to peace. Capricorn, your desire for excellence is sacred. But not when it comes at the cost of your softness. Not when it erases your needs. Not when it buries your joy. You were never meant to control everything. That was never the divine plan. You were meant to build, yes. But also to feel, to rest, to receive, to love without needing to earn it first. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be whole. The secret your mother couldn't say was that she too spent her life chasing perfection, and it cost her love, softness, and rest. She doesn't want that for you. She couldn't say it then. But she's saying it now. And if you listen closely, you'll hear her whisper, "Let it go. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. You never did." Part 4. How this hidden pattern has blocked your wealth, love, and joy. Capricorn, you are not lazy. You are not ungrateful. And you are not cursed. But if you've ever asked yourself, why do I work so hard, but still feel like I'm behind? Why do I give so much, yet feel so unseen in love? Why does joy feel fleeting, or even dangerous? Then it's time we reveal the deeper truth. Because the same pattern that helped you survive this unspoken vow of control, perfection, and duty, is the very thing that's quietly blocking the 3 things you want most: wealth, love, and peace. When effort becomes armor, you've been taught that hard work brings reward. And to an extent, that's true. But Capricorn, when effort becomes your identity, when struggle becomes your home, you unintentionally begin to reject anything that comes easily. And the universe can't give to a soul that doesn't believe it's safe to receive. Think about it. How many times have you undervalued your work, refused help, even when exhausted, chosen a partner you had to fix, rather than one who could pour into you, said "I'm fine," when what you meant was "please hold me"? You didn't do this because you're broken. You did it because somewhere inside, you were conditioned to equate ease with danger. To believe that love must be earned, that money must be chased, That peace is suspicious unless it's fought for. But none of that is true. Story of Alyssa, the Capricorn who rejected a gift. Alyssa was a Capricorn entrepreneur in her early 30s. She built her business from nothing, pouring in 16-hour days, 7 days a week. When a longtime client offered to invest $50,000 to help her expand, no strings attached, she politely declined. She told her therapist later, "If I accept that, it won't feel like I did it." But beneath that was a deeper fear. If it comes too easily, something must be wrong. She wasn't rejecting the money. She was rejecting her own worthiness. Because somewhere in her story, she learned that struggle equals value. And receiving felt like weakness. It wasn't until she confronted this inherited belief, one her mother lived and passed down, that she finally accepted help, hired a team, doubled her income, and began sleeping more than 4 hours a night. The pattern at play. Let's be clear. This isn't just a mindset issue. It's a soul-level imprint. It's the echo of your mother's struggle. It's the vibration of ancestral scarcity. It's the memory of times when women weren't allowed to receive, only to serve. And it lives in your nervous system. That's why money shows up and vanishes. Why love enters, but you push it away. Why joy knocks, but you don't answer the door. Because the part of you that learned to survive believes, if I let go, I'll lose control. If I receive, I'll owe. If I soften, I'll break. But what if none of that is true? What if receiving is your birthright? What if ease is not a threat, but a reward? What if your mother's silence was never meant to become your story? Capricorn lesson number 4, you were meant to receive as much as you give. Capricorn, your discipline is divine. But so is your ability to receive without guilt. To rest without shame. To be loved without needing to earn it. Your abundance in money, relationships, and peace is not blocked by lack. It's blocked by an inner contract that says, I must prove myself first. Your mother didn't know how to undo that. But she's here now, guiding you from beyond the veil. Saying the words she couldn't in life. You are already worthy. You don't need to suffer to be deserving. Let that truth break open the walls around your heart. Let it melt the fear that guards your joy. Let it clear the path for a new way of living. One where wealth, love, and happiness flow to you, not just through you. Part 5. Healing the wounds of the feminine lineage. Capricorn, there's something sacred you've always sensed. A silent thread that weaves through the women in your family. A feeling that their stories, even the ones never spoken aloud, live somewhere inside your body. In your shoulders. In your chest. In the way you hold your breath when no one is watching. That's not imagination. That's inheritance. Not genetic, but energetic. And if you've ever wondered why you feel responsible for everyone's emotions, why you struggle to ask for help, or why, no matter how far you rise, something always pulls you back into silence or shame, it's because you are still carrying the unhealed grief of the women who came before you. The silence that raised you. Maybe your mother never told you she was overwhelmed. Maybe your grandmother never spoke of the dreams she gave up. Maybe the women in your family were always strong, but also tired, resigned, numb. This is not a coincidence. This is emotional inheritance. And as a Capricorn ruled by Saturn, the planet of karmic lessons, you were born to confront this. Not to suffer through it, but to end it. Because someone in every bloodline eventually rises and says, it ends with me. And maybe, that someone is you. The blueprint you didn't know you had. You didn't choose this blueprint, but you've been following it. Be quiet. Be dependable. Don't ask for too much. Don't show too much. Give. Give again. And then give more, even when you're empty. Sound familiar? That's not just Capricorn conditioning. That's the feminine wound, passed down for generations. It teaches women and feminine energy beings that love is earned through sacrifice, and that their needs are secondary to everyone else's survival. But here's the truth your mother couldn't say out loud. She hated that lesson. She hated that no one ever told her, you matter, too. And now, through you, she's saying it. The turning point, Rewriting the line. Let me share the story of Nora, a Capricorn woman from Texas. Her family was filled with strong women, farmers, nurses, single mothers, all of whom were praised for how much they could handle. Nora was the same. Until one day, her body gave out. Not metaphorically, literally. A stress-related illness put her in bed for weeks. And it was there, in forced stillness, that she had a vision of her great-grandmother. Not speaking. Just looking at her with eyes full of sorrow and understanding. Nora says she heard one sentence in that dream. "You don't have to live like we did." That was the moment she broke the chain. She left the high-pressure job. Started therapy. Began asking her own daughter what she needed, not just how well she was performing. And slowly, the wound began to heal. Not just in her, but in her daughter. And maybe even in her ancestors. Capricorn lesson number 5. You are not here to repeat, you are here to repair. Capricorn, you are the bridge. The one who can look back with reverence, and forward with clarity. You do not dishonor your mother by choosing a softer life. You honor her by living the joy she was never allowed to claim. You do not reject your lineage by breaking its patterns. You free it. Every time you say no without apology, rest without guilt, ask without shame, cry without hiding, you send healing backwards through time. That's how powerful you are. That's why she's still with you, whispering through intuition, dreams, and quiet moments. Because her freedom depends on yours. She couldn't say it then. But she's saying it now. Please don't repeat my silence. Let yourself be free. Part 6. How family roles became your cage. Capricorn, there's a difference between identity and assignment. And too often in your life, what you believed to be you was actually just a role you were expected to play. Not because you chose it, but because the system needed someone to fill it. And you were the strongest one in the room. But here's the truth you've buried for years. That strength came at a cost. Because long before you learned to say I am enough, you learned to say, I'll take care of it. I'll fix it. I'll be the responsible one. I'll sacrifice. I'll hold it together. And the role swallowed the person. The roles you never asked for. Let's name them. Let's call out the roles Capricorn is most often cast into, especially within the family system. The provider, always financially responsible, even when struggling. The mediator, the one who smooths tension, solves arguments, keeps peace. The backbone, the one no one checks on, because you're always strong. The example, the one held to higher standards, the one younger siblings are told to emulate. The listener, the emotional sponge for everyone else's stories, but never sharing your own. Sound familiar? These are not just patterns. They're prisons. Decorated with praise, camouflaged as identity, but built from expectation, not choice. And Capricorn, because you crave order and fear chaos. You stepped in. You performed. You delivered. Over and over again. But no one ever stopped to ask, what about you? What about your breakdowns? What about your fears? What about your right to fall apart, without guilt or shame? You see, when a child is praised only when they're helpful, they grow into adults who confuse being needed with being loved. And that is the trap. Story of Isaiah, the oldest son who forgot himself. Isaiah, a Capricorn born into a chaotic household, became the third parent by age 10. He got his younger siblings ready for school, did the shopping, managed the bills before he could legally drink. By 35, he had no idea what made him happy. He had a high-paying job, a stable marriage, but a crushing feeling of being emotionally hollow. He told his coach, "I don't know how to be anything other than useful." And that sentence, spoken through tears, revealed everything. He wasn't living. He was managing, performing, surviving, inside a role he never got to audition for, but couldn't escape. It wasn't until he stepped away, took a year to travel, write, and reconnect with his inner child that he finally met himself again. The real Isaiah. Not the role. The soul. Capricorn lesson number 6. You are not a role, you are a whole person. Capricorn, your family system may have trained you to be the backbone. But you are also a heart. A dream. a spirit. You were never meant to live inside one mask, even if that mask got you love, validation, or safety. Your mother, perhaps unknowingly, helped assign you that role. Because she, too, wore a mask. She, too, was more than her duty. But she couldn't tell you that when she was alive. Because no one had ever told her. Now, from the other side, she wants you to know. You are allowed to be more than useful. You are allowed to be free. So take off the mask. Lay down the title. Let go of the script. And meet yourself not as the family's solution, but as the soul who deserves softness, curiosity, joy, and rest. You are not what you do. You are who you are, and that has always been more than enough. Part 7. The Sacred Ritual to Break the Hidden Vow. Capricorn, you've come far. You've peeled back the layers of silence, responsibility, and ancestral expectation. But now, it's time to release it. Not just understand it. Not just journal about it. But release it. Because while awareness is powerful, ritual is transformative. You've been living under a vow you never consciously made. A vow of sacrifice. Of holding it all together. Of being everything for everyone, except yourself. This vow has lived in your bones. In your breath. In the choices you've made without even realizing why. But it does not have to live in your future. The unseen contract. Let's name it clearly, one last time. This hidden vow might sound like, I must always be strong. I cannot rest unless everything is perfect. If I don't do it, no one will. My value is in how much I give. If I fall apart, everything else will too. These are not just beliefs. They are contracts, energetic agreements passed from soul to soul, often from mother to child, through generations. They were born in moments of fear, moments of survival, moments when the only way forward was to endure. But Capricorn, you are not here to continue surviving. You are here to live. And to do that, you must cut the cord. A ritual for release, rewriting the contract. This ritual is not about drama. It is not about blaming your mother, or your family, or even yourself. It is about choice. Sacred. Conscious. Brave. Here is what you can do. Step 1. Write the vow down. On a piece of paper, write down the exact sentence or feeling you've been carrying. Be honest. Be raw. For example, I vow to always be strong, no matter how much it hurts. I vow to carry the pain of my mother, so she never has to feel alone. I vow to earn love through sacrifice. Let it come from your body, not your mind. You will feel it when it's right. Step 2. Write a new contract. On a second piece of paper, write your new truth, the one your mother's spirit wants you to live now. For example, I now choose softness over suffering. I am worthy of love that does not require pain. I am not here to carry, I am here to create. Let this feel empowering. Let it feel like a return. Step 3. Burn the old vow. Safely, in a fireproof container or under the moonlight, burn the first piece of paper. As it turns to ash, speak these words. This no longer belongs to me. I honor the love that shaped it. But I am free now. Let the smoke rise as your ancestors witness your choice. Feel the break, not as destruction, but as liberation. Step 4. Keep the new contract close. Place the new contract somewhere sacred under your pillow, in your wallet, on your altar. Read it every morning for 7 days. Let it become part of your nervous system. Let it rewrite the story in your cells. Because this is not just about energy. It's about identity. And you are becoming someone who chooses joy, not obligation. Capricorn lesson number 7. Releasing the old is an act of devotion, not betrayal. Capricorn, you are loyal. Sometimes, to a fault. You hold on longer than anyone else would. You finish what others abandon. You stay, even when staying costs you your joy. But there comes a moment when the most loyal thing you can do is leave the old behind. Not because it was bad, but because it's done. This ritual is not rebellion. It's reverence. Your mother, in her highest form, does not want you to carry her pain. She wants you to carry your life. She couldn't say it then. But she's saying it now. You are free. You always were. You just forgot. And this ritual is your remembering. Part 8. Redefining what it means to be strong. Capricorn, let's be honest. You've been praised for being strong your entire life. They called you dependable. They admired your discipline. They trusted you with everything, their secrets, their needs, their weight. But they never asked what that strength was costing you. They never stopped to ask. Were you ever allowed to be soft? Did anyone ever hold you while you fell apart? Who was there when the strong one broke? That's the tragedy of strength when it's misunderstood. Because strength, in its distorted form, becomes a wall. And you, dear Capricorn, have lived behind it for far too long. The lie of stoic strength. Somewhere along the way, you absorbed the belief that emotions are dangerous. Vulnerability is weakness. Asking for help means failure. Rest is earned, not deserved. But these aren't truths. These are coping strategies often taught by parents, culture, or survival itself. And while they may have served your ancestors, they are suffocating you. Because the truth is, strength is not the absence of emotion. Strength is feeling everything and still choosing love. Strength is knowing when to stop, when to rest, when to say no more. You don't need to prove your worth through self-denial anymore. You don't need to wear your exhaustion like a badge of honor. That isn't Capricorn's destiny. That's Capricorn's wound. And now it's time to rewrite the meaning of your strength. Story of Liana, the armor that cracked for good. Liana, a Capricorn therapist, was known in her community as the Rock. She held everyone else up, her clients, her family, her friends. She was calm, grounded, always composed. But inside, she was unraveling. One night, alone in her car, she broke. Not just tears, a full collapse. She described it as grieving for a life I never gave myself permission to live. She realized that for 38 years, she had been living a life of management, not connection. And it took that one moment of surrender, that one moment of releasing her image, to finally feel like herself. Not a provider, not a caretaker, just Liana. Human, soft, worthy. What true Capricorn strength looks like. Let's redefine it right here, together. True Capricorn strength is saying no without guilt, letting people carry their own weight, crying in front of someone you trust, admitting when you're tired, letting go of something that no longer serves you even if everyone else expects you to hold on. It is not how long you can hold everything together. It's how willing you are to let something fall if keeping it means losing yourself. Strength is not being unbreakable. It's knowing how to rebuild after you've broken. And Capricorn, you know how to rebuild better than anyone else. But now, you get to rebuild something new. A life that includes your emotions, your rest, your softness, your joy, not just your duty. Capricorn lesson number 8. You are allowed to be both soft and strong. The old way told you, pick one. But the new truth is, you are both. Your mother knew it. She just didn't get the chance to live it. But you do. You are not here to be worshipped for your endurance. You are here to be loved for your truth. So take off the armor. You don't need it anymore. You never did. Part 9. Building boundaries without shame. Capricorn, there's something you've struggled with for a long time. Not because you're weak, but because you were never taught how. It's called a boundary. Not a wall. Not a punishment. Not a rejection. But a sacred line that says, this is where I end, and where you begin. You see, boundaries are not a betrayal of love. They are the conditions that make love sustainable. But if you grew up being the strong one, the responsible one, the caretaker, the provider, the fixer, then saying no can feel like abandonment, like failure, like guilt. But Capricorn, it's time to understand something clearly. Boundaries are not selfish. They are self-respect. Why you struggle to say no? Let's go deeper. The reason you feel tension when trying to set boundaries isn't because you're bad at it. It's because somewhere in your story, you learned this message. My value comes from what I do for others. And when that belief lives at the core of your being, every no feels like a threat to your identity. But let me be clear. You are not here to be everything for everyone. You are here to be fully yourself. Not exhausted. Not resentful. Not stretched thin trying to earn love by being available 24/7. And if they only love you when you're self-sacrificing, that's not love. That's dependency. The house with no doors. Imagine a beautiful house. Solid foundation. Strong walls. Warm lighting. But no front door. Anyone can come in. Anytime. Stay as long as they want. Eat your food. Sleep in your bed. Take your energy. At first, it feels generous. But eventually, it becomes invasion. That house is you, Capricorn. When you live without boundaries, you don't need to become a fortress, but you do need a front door, a lock, a key, and the power to say, not today, not anymore, that doesn't work for me. Story of Jonah, the reliable one who finally drew a line. Jonah was a Capricorn father, friend, and eldest sibling. The one everyone called when they needed something. And he always said yes even when it hurt. Until one day, he missed his daughter's recital because he was helping his brother move. That night, he saw the look in his daughter's eyes. Not angry, just disappointed. He realized he was being available to everyone but present to no one, including himself. That was the day he started saying no. Not to be rude, but to be real. And surprisingly, the people who truly loved him respected him more. The ones who didn't, they faded. And that was the second gift of boundaries. Revelation. Capricorn lesson number 9, boundaries do not push love away, they protect it. Capricorn, you don't need to give everything to be enough. You don't need to be available to be valuable. You don't need to say yes to be worthy. Boundaries are not a sign of weakness. They are the architecture of freedom. You are allowed to say, I need rest. That doesn't feel right. I won't do that anymore. Please respect my space. You are not a machine. You are not an ATM. You are not a bottomless well of solutions. You are human, sacred, limited in energy and infinite in spirit. And your mother, now free, watching from beyond, wants you to remember, you don't owe anyone your life just because you love them, but you do owe yourself peace. Let that be your new promise, not to the world, but to yourself. Part 10, Trusting the Divine Compass Within. Capricorn, after everything you've carried, everything you've healed, everything you've let go of, there's one final piece. It's time to stop seeking direction outside of yourself. Because the compass you've been waiting for, it's already within you. Your whole life, you've relied on logic, on structure, on plans, on external confirmation that you're on the right track. You've looked for signs, schedules, systems, because they gave you a sense of safety in a chaotic world. But deep down, you've always known. There is something older, deeper, and wiser guiding you. And it's time to trust it. The inner knowing that never left you. There have been moments in your life. Quiet ones. Subtle. Fleeting. Moments when your body knew something your mind couldn't explain. When a yes felt heavy. When a no brought peace. When a certain person drained you, no matter how kind they were. When a risk felt terrifying, but right. That is your inner compass. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It doesn't force. It nudges. And it's the one thing in your life that has never abandoned you. Even when you abandoned yourself. Why you've struggled to hear it. Capricorn, you are deeply intuitive. But you've been taught to distrust your feelings in favor of facts. To dismiss your gut in favor of plans. To overthink instead of simply, no. But intuition isn't mystical nonsense. It's the wisdom of your nervous system, your ancestors, your soul. And it's asking, now more than ever, to be honored. Because after shedding the old roles, contracts, and patterns, you're finally able to hear your own voice again. And what it says might surprise you. It might say, rest. Go slower. Let this go. Try something new. Speak your truth. Choose yourself. And this time, you'll listen. Because this time, you know that trusting yourself is not reckless. It's revolutionary. Story of Sarah, the Capricorn who chose her own rhythm. Sarah had built the life everyone else admired. A perfect resume. A home that looked like a magazine cover. A marriage that looked stable from the outside. But something in her always felt off. She ignored it for years. Because it didn't make sense. She had everything. Why wasn't it enough? Until one day, walking alone in the woods, she felt something rise from within. A sentence she hadn't expected. This life is not mine. That sentence cracked her open. It didn't happen overnight, but slowly, she rebuilt. She left what no longer aligned. She moved to a smaller home. Started painting again. Found love real, rooted, mutual. And for the first time in her life, she didn't need anyone's approval to feel safe. She said, "When I stopped following maps that weren't made for me, I found myself." Capricorn lesson number 10. You've always known, you just forgot to listen. Capricorn, your greatest power is not in your plans. It's in your presence. The voice within you is not weak. It is ancient. It is divine. It carries the guidance of your lineage and the freedom of your future. You don't need another roadmap. You don't need to earn more trust. You don't need to prove your worth to receive your own wisdom. You are ready. And your mother, who once silenced her own inner voice to survive, is now watching you choose a different path. And she's proud. Not because you succeeded, but because you remembered who you are. Conclusion, her final gift was never spoken. It was you, becoming free. Capricorn, your mother's final gift to you was never a sentence. Never a confession. Never even a goodbye. It was this. A doorway. A chance to step out of the story she couldn't rewrite. And into the life she only dreamed of for you. She couldn't say it when she was alive. The truth was too painful, too complicated, too buried beneath generations of silence. But now, from the other side, she has said it in full. Not in words, but in the space she opened for your freedom. Because you are the first in your line to stop running, to stop carrying, to stop performing strength. You are the first to say, I am enough, even when I rest. I am worthy, even when I cry. I am lovable, even when I say no. That is her legacy now. Not pain, not sacrifice, not silence, but liberation through you. The journey you've walked. In this video, you've done something many never dare. You've faced the hidden vows of your maternal lineage, unmasked the emotional weight that was never truly yours, grieved the roles that imprisoned you, released perfectionism and the myth of control, set sacred boundaries without shame, reclaimed your softness, your joy, your peace, and finally reconnected with the divine compass within. This is not just healing. This is rebirth. You are not just a Capricorn. You are the first healer of your family's wound. The cycle breaker. The quiet storm. The mountain that moved. Final Capricorn lesson. The most radical thing you can do is be free. Capricorn, your legacy will not be built by how much you suffered. It will be built by how bravely you chose joy, how deeply you trusted your own heart, how powerfully you said, "It ends with me," because the woman who couldn't say this in life has now said it, through you. I didn't know how to show you, but you were never meant to carry my pain. You were meant to carry your light. And now that light is awake, brighter than ever. Before you go, if something in this message touched you, if you felt seen, if you felt your soul stir in the quiet, then this is just the beginning. Subscribe to this channel, Zodiac Secrets Revealed, and walk with us. We don't just speak to your zodiac sign. We speak to your soul. Because healing doesn't happen in one video. It happens in community, in return, in revelation. And your next revelation is already waiting.